Hello everyone, my name is Gavin Alexander and I am going to talk to you today about new trends and modern techniques in teaching and learning English. So this presentation will be split into three parts. They will be online resources for teachers, online resources for students and development opportunities for teachers. And at the end of the presentation, I will give my email address, so any questions and feel free to contact me. I would also like to say that these are simply ideas for you to think about. They are not the be-all and end-all of English teaching, but something for you to think about, because they are something I use and something I know a lot of my colleagues use also. So before we begin with the three parts, I would like to tell you a small bit about myself and also the world of TEFL from a native English speaker's perspective. So TEFL is many things to many people and many things to many teachers. To some, it is about gaining experience, seeing other parts of the world, and for many it is a career. And the way TEFL can be viewed as a career is as a ladder system. So at the beginning there are many jobs which do not look for experience, but these jobs are typically low paid, long hours and long contracts. Whereas at the top of the ladder there are some very interesting jobs, for example in the oil and gas industries, which are very well paid. So for me, at the moment, it's about gaining experience, seeing new places, learning new languages, but maybe in the future I can view it as a career. And the main thing for me, the most important thing, is being a part of English. A very small part, but it's a global language everyone knows now, and many of you will feel also that it's excellent to be a part of this new phenomenon. So we can begin with the three parts. My first is online resources for teachers. And at the beginning of this, I will tell you what I do on my first lesson. So on the slide here you see modern terms. So when I have a class for the first time, I give them modern terms such as how's things and how's tricks. Another way, a very common way of saying how are you. I also give the terms I use on a daily basis, such as hi there and fair enough, which means that's okay. And also I give explanation terms such as opposite, similar, close and more specific, because as a native teacher you have to explain to the students the words in English. So these are very helpful for getting students to speak English and to stick to English. So the online resources for teachers will be divided into two parts, and these will be formal and informal. So the formal websites are from respected companies, possibly government organisations, and the informal ones less so, but still useful material. So the formal websites I will begin. The first is teachingenglish.co.uk, and this is a website of the British Council. It has lesson plans, activities, games, exercises, and also it has forums and blogs, which are very important for teachers, both native and non-native English speakers, to discuss matters that are relevant in English teaching. And another very important section is the British literature section, and if you want your class to study British novels, the British Council website allows you to download a book pack which not only includes the book but includes an interview from the author and study notes for said book. And the next website is ncte.org, which is the National Council of English Teachers. And again, similar to the British Council, it has more lesson plans, forums and blogs, and another very useful website. And on the next page we have the Guardian website, theguardian.com/education/TEFL. And while not being the biggest website, the Guardian is notoriously an intellectual website. So although it has a small collection, it is a very concise collection and again useful to use. And the next page is the BBC Teaching English department, and to reach this website you just type BBC Teaching English into Google, or the website is here on the slide. And the BBC, I'm sure you will be familiar with, is a very comprehensive organisation, and being primarily a media company, the website is very user friendly, very easy to use. It is very comprehensive. There are quizzes, votes, forums and blogs, and there is a very important section called Keeping Your English Up to Date, which is excellent for keeping up with modern terms, because language, including English, moves very quickly, so there are sometimes hundreds, thousands of new words to learn. An example is on the slide here. There is a modern term, bless, and we all know the expression bless you after someone sneezes, but in this example it speaks about how bless can be used to say something is cute or someone is being generous, such as, oh, bless. And there are other words at the side, modern words, such as bling, which means showing off your wealth. There is binge, which is a problem just now, possibly in many countries, such as binge drinking or binge shopping. And another important word is down in the middle of the list, and it is hoodie. We will talk about hoodie later in the presentation, and it means a hooded jumper, which is another talking point in the UK at the moment. So now we move on to informal websites. The first is one I use a lot of times, which is Dave's ESL Cafe. And Dave is an English teacher who has been teaching primarily in Asia for over 40 years, and he has an idea cookbook to stay with the cafe connotation. And the website for this is eslcafe.com/ideas. And again, there are activities and ideas for lessons, but in a more informal, playful environment. And another is jeffbarton.co.uk, who is an American English teacher with a very good website with some strange and some different ideas. Another, onestopenglish.co.uk, which has more than 8,000 resources. However, a subscription is needed for the majority of these websites, but you can still access many samples and other materials. But there are hundreds, there are thousands of these websites. All you need to do is type Teaching English into Google or whichever search engine you use, and you will find many of these sites. And the next section I would like to explore is other informal websites, and one of which I would like to talk about is Facebook. So if you have Facebook and other social media websites, the formal websites I have mentioned will be available on Facebook. For example, the British Council and the BBC Teaching English website. So if you are unfamiliar with Facebook, you have a profile and you have a news feed, which is like the reception of your Facebook. And if you subscribe to the British Council and to the BBC, their daily posts will come up in your newsfeed. So it's very relevant for keeping up to date with the latest information in teaching English. I know this is useful because I try my best to learn Russian, so I have a Russian tips website called lingualeo.ru, and on a daily basis it will give me information on Russian translated from English. So it's a very useful thing to have such sites appear in your Facebook. And the next website I will talk about is YouTube. I'm sure you're all familiar with YouTube because YouTube has everything. All you need to do is type what you want and you will find a video. And of course it is moderated and filtered, so it's perfectly safe for the most part. And one video in particular I can show you is from the YouTube channel Cambridge University Press, ELT. And the title of this video is Getting Students to Stick to English During the Lessons by Herbert Pushta. And another useful channel is International House London, who have schools all over the world, including in Russia. And of course, sometimes your internet connection will not work or it will be slow, but there are many websites for downloading YouTube videos. The one I use is 4K Video Downloader, so you can download the YouTube video and play it whenever you want. And on to part 2 now, which is online resources for students. And again, this is divided into formal and informal. But before we start this section, I would like to give you a bit of background from what I have learned from students and the research I did when preparing for this presentation. So my information came from speaking to students in Samara. I teach at School 120, so I spoke to the kids and got an idea of what helps them learn English. And I also read many articles online, one of which was a study from Petrozavodsk University, which spoke of the differences between English and Russian and the limitations of teaching using only a book. And both sources for me were unanimous. They were clear in thinking that media is extremely important. It is essential when learning English. A visual approach works best. And one example I can give for this is I first came across this when I taught in Spain, and one of the students had an American accent, and I said to her, "Is your mum or dad American?" And she said, "No, but I watch the Disney Channel every day." And I have seen this in Samara. There are 3 or 4 girls at School 120 who have an American accent to me, and I found out the reason was because they listen to music a lot, in particular Justin Bieber, for example. So if they are listening to this music, then the pronunciation will filter into their heads. And not only is it good for pronunciation, but for grammar, for sentence structure, and for confidence. So it's easy to see the importance of media, and that is one example. And that's the focus of the second part of my presentation: media for students, be it whatever age. So the first section in part 2 is formal websites for students. The first is BBC Bite Size. Now, we use this in the UK. There is television programmes on Bite Size, and we use it in the school curriculum. There is not only English on Bite Size, but history, geography, maths, any subject that is studied at schools in the UK. And there is all levels, from KS1, which is Key Stages 1, the beginner stage, all the way to higher, advanced and beyond. So I have some example games here, one of which is for Key Stages 1 and one of which is for Key Stages 3. So this is where we return to the word hoodies. So as I said, hooded jumpers are a big talking point in the UK just now, because some shop owners do not want young people in particular wearing hoodies. And it has become illegal in many places, particularly after the London riots, for many people to wear these hooded tops. So here is game 1. It is pirate spelling, and this is a game for very young learners that looks to improve their spelling. So it is an interactive activity, so if you get the question right, there is a small video that plays. And the second game I have is an interactive game about hoodies. So in this particular setting, there is an actress that talks to you. She asks you questions why you are wearing the hoodie, and the student has to think of responses to get out of the situation. So they are very useful for students, and because they are interactive, it allows the student to practice their English in a dialogue. And the next website is usingenglish.com, which is good for idioms and modern phrases. The example I have here is a page with one idiom, which is breakneck speed. And breakneck speed simply means something that is very fast, so fast it's dangerous. But there are thousands of idioms on this website. And the next formal websites are eslpartyland.com, games2learnenglish.com, and these are mostly for games for young learners, games for inside the classroom. But as with the resources for teachers, there are thousands of resources for students. Again, you type into your search engine, learning English, as opposed to teaching English. And now we will move on to informal websites for students. So again, I would like to talk about Facebook. I use Facebook because I am familiar with it, but I'm sure other social media websites have these features. So students will use these websites anyway. So educational material will definitely be useful for them. For example, if they subscribe to their favourite characters, favourite cartoons, favourite singers, sports teams, and even for younger students, things like animals, cats and dogs, when these pages post a status, it will appear on the student's newsfeed in English or with a translation available. And for older students, they can use the same ones as teachers, I'm sure. The BBC Learning English Facebook, or even things such as big organisations, sports teams, the European Parliament, because many of these sites are bilingual. So once a student sees this, he or she can learn the importance of English. So here are some examples of Facebook pages. This is from the BBC Learning English website, and it says duck. So another meaning for duck means to lower your head. And here is a page for younger learners. The page is cute dogs, and there is a picture, would you bring me my coffee? It's been a rough day. So not only is the picture important, but the comments also. Some of the comments here, it's so cute, oh, I want it, and Sam, I know you will like this. So the students can read the comments also, and a useful thing with Facebook, it is still in development, but there is a C translation option below a comment that is not in the mother tongue of the browser. So anything the student does not understand, they can get a translation. And again, I will talk about YouTube. As I said before, YouTube has everything. So not only for teachers, but for students, they can watch films, series, serials, music, and many of which have subtitles. And a quick point I would like to make is that YouTube subtitles are still in development. So unless the video has subtitles of its own, I would not recommend the built-in subtitles. So perhaps it would be useful for a class to begin a movie club or a book club. The main findings from Petrozavodsk University was that students very much enjoyed making their own video, their own episode of something. And that way they could look back at the video and see their errors and see the good things they did. And it was very, very fun for them. So some example YouTube videos I have. One YouTube channel for young learners is called Fun English, and the first episode is Kids Learning English Show number 1, which is about family and friends. It is animated and also with actors and actresses. And the second, for older students, is from an American comedian called Steve Ford, and the title is Live 12 Fast English. And there is a picture of Steve Ford in his first lesson. As you can see, it has subtitles, and at the side there is suggestions for other videos which can be useful. And then the last part of the presentation is about development opportunities for teachers. So the first part of this, I will speak about TEFL courses. Of course, these courses are not just available to native speakers, but to non-natives. So there are a variety of courses, from online to the classroom, from a weekend to a year. And this allows you to achieve a TEFL job. And again, I will say these jobs are not just for natives. In one place I taught, my phase of teachers, my group of teachers, there were some from Mexico, Poland, the Philippines, Indonesia. So it's possible for non-natives to experience TEFL teaching, as long as they can prove their expertise in English. And another is overseas teaching courses, one of which I know about takes place in the UK. It is called ISP, which is the International Study Programme, which brings teachers from their native countries and allows them to teach in a British school for a period of time, which I'm sure would be an excellent experience for the teacher. And an online resource for developing is language exchanges, two of which are mylanguageexchange.com and mixer.com. And in these websites, you exchange your language for another person's. They are free to use, and I can vouch for their usefulness because I myself use these websites from time to time, and it allows you to have dialogue with a native speaker of a language, be it by messaging or by Skype. And the last resource I will give is another one I use. It is called Coursera.org. And Coursera is an amazing website. There are contributions from many universities across the world. It is mainly an American website, so university contributors include Yale and Brown, but also there are universities from all over the world, including St. Petersburg State and the Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology, but also universities in Paris, Tokyo, anywhere. And on this website, it is completely free. You can study a university course, and there are videos from professors of these institutions. And there is no problem if you cannot finish the course. When I do a course on this website, it's maybe only 1 or 2 lessons, but it's an excellent website. So here is an example of a page of Coursera. So there is a Russian version of the website, however most of the courses are in English. So here I have clicked Business Management. So there are 60 free courses in Business Management at the moment, and I have clicked English courses. So 60 free of these courses are English, and you can sign up for any of these courses for completely free, and you can do as much or as little if you want. So it gives you an excellent experience of learning English at the highest level. And another example page is from Edinburgh University, and it shows the 6 courses which are studying at the moment. They are mostly on psychology, but there is one on music, astrotechnology, and one on Churchill. So as I say, I can vouch for this website. I can tell you it's very, very good. And as I say, it's a good example of learning English at the highest level. So that is the end of my presentation. I would like to say that during my time in Russia, I can see that English teaching and English learning is very much moving in the right direction. It's very well documented that Russia is not as bilingual as other countries, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. And I think because it is aided by media, it is a very important aspect. So here is my email address. If there are any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you.